Most stories have a villain, and in the story of knowledge, the great villain is the fire that consumed the Library of Alexandria, a single, tragic blaze that plunged the world into 1,000 years of darkness. But what if I told you that story is a lie? The great library was not destroyed in a day. It died a slow death over centuries from neglect, budget cuts, and 100 small acts of destruction. It did not die in a fire. It died in silence, and that, my friends, is a much greater tragedy. But listen closely. I am here to tell you of a timeline where the silence was broken. A world where the fire was not of destruction, but of the human mind, burning brighter than ever before. This is the story of the library that never fell. Imagine Alexandria in the final days of the Ptolemaic dynasty. It is the jewel of the world, a city where Egyptian, Greek, Jewish, and 100 other cultures meet. At its heart is the museum, the Temple of the Muses, and its legendary library. It holds not just scrolls, but the accumulated knowledge of the known world, 500,000 documents containing everything from the forgotten plays of Sophocles to the astronomical charts of Babylonian priests. In our history, after the fall of Cleopatra, Rome's interest in this great institution waned. The emperors saw it as a luxury, its funding was cut, its scholars scattered, the slow decay began. But in this timeline, the point of divergence is not a battle won or a life saved, it is a change of mind. Augustus Caesar, after securing Egypt, is persuaded not by a general, but by a scholar. This scholar demonstrates that the knowledge within the library, engineering, medicine, geography, is not a luxury, but the ultimate tool of empire. The secret to controlling not just lands, but the future itself, and Augustus listens. He establishes a new tradition. The Library of Alexandria is to be protected and funded as a primary institution of the Roman state. Its chief librarian is given a status equal to a senator. Subsequent emperors, from Trajan to Aurelian, see it as a symbol of their own wisdom and might. Instead of cutting its funds, they expand it, sending agents to the far corners of the empire and beyond, to Persia, to India, to gather every scroll they can find. The great institution does not fade, it grows. Within its walls, the great minds of the age are not just preserving old knowledge. They are building upon it. The astronomical models of Aristarchus, who proposed a sun-centered solar system 1800 years before Copernicus, are not dismissed. They are studied, debated, and refined with better instruments. The medical texts of Galen are cross-referenced with Egyptian surgical techniques. And then comes the spark. In a dusty workshop attached to the main library, a scholar-engineer named Hero of Alexandria designed a toy, a hollow sphere that spun when heated, powered by steam. In our world, his Eolipile was a curiosity, but in a world where innovation is funded and encouraged, it is not a toy, it is a puzzle to be solved. For decades, the greatest minds work on it. They combine Hero's device with the advanced gear and piston mechanisms described by Archimedes. They apply the metallurgical knowledge contained in scrolls from the farthest reaches of the empire. And one day, in the year 250 AD, a cart laden with stone from a nearby quarry moves without the pull of an ox or the push of a slave. It moves on its own, powered by a hissing, clanking engine of bronze and iron, a machine that turns fire and water into motion. The steam engine has been born, and the world is about to be broken open. A single spark of knowledge can smolder for centuries, hidden in a scroll, but what happens when that spark is fanned into a flame? What happens when an entire civilization decides to stop just reading about the world and starts rewriting it? The birth of the steam engine in Alexandria did not change the world overnight. It was a seed, but it was planted in the most fertile ground imaginable, a library that held all the knowledge required to make it grow. While the Western Roman Empire in our timeline began to crumble under internal decay and external pressures, the Eastern Mediterranean, centered on Alexandria, experienced a different kind of revolution. The new steam engines, fueled by wood and later coal from Britannia, were first put to use by the state. They powered pumps that irrigated vast new farmlands in the Egyptian desert. They were placed on barges that carried grain up the Nile with unprecedented speed, ending the threat of famine. The Roman state, seeing this power, poured even more resources into the library. It became the world's first true research and development institution. By the year 500 AD, as Europe was entering its dark ages, Alexandria had steam-powered cranes lifting marble to build new temples. Its scholars, using advanced new telescopes, based on refined lenses, were charting the moons of Jupiter. The geocentric model of the universe was discarded. The sun was the center. It was known as a fact. This new power, this Greco-Egyptian Renaissance, saved the Roman Empire from a complete collapse. The West still fell, but the East, centered not on Constantinople but on a powerful Alexandria-Rome axis, did not just survive. It thrived. Knowledge became the world's most valuable commodity. The Silk Road became a two-way street, with Chinese scholars traveling to Alexandria to study mechanics, and Alexandrian mathematicians traveling east to share their new understanding of geometry. The great empires of Persia and India were not rivals to be conquered, but intellectual, peers to be engaged with. And what of Europe? It was not a land of darkness and ignorance. It was a developing region on the periphery of a great intellectual superpower. Young, ambitious men and women from the Germanic kingdoms or the fractured lands of Gaul did not dream of conquering Rome. They dreamed of earning a scholarship to study at the great Library of Alexandria. The world of 1500 AD in this timeline is unrecognizable. There is no great age of discovery where European ships stumble upon new continents. The discovery of the Americas is a planned, internationally funded expedition launched from Alexandria, using advanced astronomical charts and steam-assisted ships. Power is not concentrated in one corner of the world. It is balanced between the technological might of the Afro-Mediterranean world, the ancient wisdom of the Eastern empires, and the growing ambition of the European kingdoms. The conflicts and discoveries that shape this world are born not of ignorance and superstition, but of a shared foundation of knowledge. So think on this when you imagine a lost book or a silent library. Knowledge is never truly lost, but it can be forgotten. It can be left to sleep. A book that is not read is just a block of wood and paper, but a book that is studied, challenged, and built upon can be a lever long enough to move the entire world. Now the story is yours to carry until we meet again.